case we have questions, I would want us to just highlight them. Then once I'm done with the presentation, I'll be able to answer the question. So roughly, this should not take us more than 30 minutes. I've been given 40 minutes, but I'll try to see and work within the time. 30 minutes should be okay for this presentation. So it's more like a presentation, it's more like a discussion, because like I said we are people of like minds. Me working in a facility management company means to an extent I have an idea of what the institution is all about and what facility managers handle in their facilities. So like I said before, we are knowledgeable about what commercial and residential building is. There's no too much difference. Don't let me say significant. There's not too much difference in handling commercial and handling residential. It's just that just little things because of the maybe number of occupants, the kind of job that is being done in commercial buildings. That's just the things we need to consider in order to be able to put some extra measures in place in order to be able to handle the safety of a commercial building way more than residential building. So like I said is a conversation. Like I said, is a conversation. So we'll be discussing, and it's going to be like a question and answer session. Then I'll be able to share my own idea from the safety perspective. So if I would like to ask, right? We are facility managers, but who do you think is responsible for the safety of the commercial buildings that we handle? Okay, you know, most of the time, facility managers are employed by either the property owner or they contract it to a facility management company. So from that, having to share this responsibility, who do you think is responsible for the safety of a commercial building? I would like people to answer. I don't actually know people on this call, so I can't mention name. Moderator, how would you help with that? It's a conversation, so I don't want it to be like I'm just presenting. So I would like just one person, just a brief answer.
I'm sure we have people on the call. They would answer duly. Mr. Olafemi has raised up his hand.
Okay, do you have the floor, moderator? So,
Mr. Femi, you can speak, sir.
All right. Safety responsibility is the responsibility of everybody in the building. Safety is responsibility of everybody in the building.
Thank you very much, Mr. Femi. Is somebody else saying anything? Okay, Mr. Femi is the one that just spoke now. Thank you very much. Can I continue?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so like Mr. Femi has rightly said, it is the responsibility of everybody, right? There is difference between being responsible and being accountable. So safety is the responsibility of everybody in a building or wherever we either commercial building, residential, it is responsibility of everybody. But we have people that will be accountable. God forbid something happens, right? So I will be highlighting the people that are accountable. Majorly for a building, a commercial building, the owner of that commercial building is accountable and responsible. So we now have some people that will share into the responsibility, who can share in the responsibility, owners of the building. We have the facility management company that have been awarded the responsibility to take care of the building. So one way or the other, they've transferred the risk to the facility management company. So now let's now come to where we are, where it concerns us as a facility managers or facility management institute. The facility manager or the facility management company has taken the risk from the owner of the building. So indirectly or directly, you are also a owner of that building. The residents of the building, so those people that are using the building are also responsible. But when it comes to being accountable, God forbid something happen and government want to take some sanctions, actions or legal actions against anybody, they are taking it against the owner of the building. So we should be aware that one way or the other, we are involved. We cannot say because we are not the owner of the building, we are not involved. So facility management company is also a co-owner who is accountable to ensure safety in a commercial building. In a commercial building, what are the hazards that we have? Just like we have hazards in residential. So I would like to be mingling or mixing them together, not being specific about commercial or residential now. But majority of whatever it is we are going to highlight in commercial building is going to affect residential to an extent. So if there is any need for some peculiarities, I will let us know. So for commercial building, hazards that are present there, we have various hazards. I don't know if you are familiar with what I mean by hazard. Let me not just be saying hazard and thinking that you understand. So what is hazard? Hazard is those things, activities, it could be a condition that could cause risk, either health risk, safety risk, or property damage to a facility. So hazard are things that could literally cause danger. So that is what hazard means. And wherever we find ourselves, even we as human, to an extent, every of the activities that we do involve hazard. Even you waking up in the morning has some hazard embedded in it, because you just standing up from the bed and walking down your building or your flat into the restroom, going to the restroom, your movement around is an activity that has hazard embedded in it. So there could be a slip, there could be trip, there could be fall. So those are kind of hazard. There are electrical hazard also in any building that you find yourself where electrical materials are being used. There are electrical hazards. We have other hazards also where you have chemical hazard when you need to do with chemicals. So working from height also. So there are diverse kind of hazard in any building, either commercial or residential. So from there, I would also want to say, when should facility manager or owner be inspecting the building for hazard? So, like I said, hazard is embedded in every of our activities. It is expected that we continuously inspect our facilities. So this can be quarterly, like UK, Canada, that's Manitoba, Work Safety and Health Act also. They specify, it is specific in that act that every three months, that's 90 days, there should be facility inspection where they report it to, if there is any new hazard that has been discovered, they need to document it in case there are, what do we call it? Government officials are coming to that building and ask about some major risk assessment documents. So it is expected that in their own Health and Safety Act, they specified it that every three months. But also there is a caveat there that depending on the kind of activities that is ongoing in that kind of facility, you can make it more often than that, like doing it every month. But in Nigeria here, there is no specific rule that guide that, but it is expected that from our Factory Act, it states that employer is responsible for the health and safety of workers in a facility. So we are bringing that into also taking responsibility that in a commercial building where we believe there is a work environment, the employer, the facility manager are responsible to take care of the health and safety of occupants of that building. So it is important that they carry out regular safety inspection of that building. So there are some commercial buildings that are less hazardous to others. Let's say, okay, commercial building that is just mainly for residents. Let's say high-rise building. There are some that are more hazardous in the sense that let's say a commercial building where it's more or less like being used for production. Sorry, please. Okay, so you can agree with me that the hazard that will be recorded in that kind of building is different from the one that only just the occupants are there. There is no serious hazardous activities. So hazard in a commercial building differs depending on what activities is ongoing in that kind of building. So how can you prevent hazard from injuring people in the building? So as a facility manager, you want to ensure part of the core of facility management to ensure the safety of building and the occupants of the safety of the property and also the occupants of that property. So how do you ensure safety of lives and property? I've mentioned something related before is through hazard identification. When you carry out inspections, you are able to spot things that could actually go wrong and you put corrective measures in place so that such a thing cannot lead into accidents and thereby endangering life and the property. So I'll be taking us more into safety precautions that we need to take when it comes to the facility, either commercial or residential. But I would like us to have like a discussion. It's just a very brief scenario in terms of who is responsible for the safety of the building and where we come in to put in controls in place. So I have a scenario here where Smith is a senior technician in an office building. On one work day, one of Smith's tasks was to repair a faulty fluorescent light fixture. While completing the task, Smith didn't see an exposed live electrical wire and accidentally touched it, burning his hand. So in terms of the scenario, I hope you can still see my screen and you can hear me. So in terms of the scenario, I would like to ask, how could this incident have been prevented? Smith is a technician, right? And he was assigned a task, which he has been used to. But this time around, an incident or an accident happened while he was trying to carry out his task. How could this have been prevented? Can somebody, a facility manager, I want us to know that one way or the other, we are responsible for the safety of the building. So we are equally a safety manager of that facility. You might not have safety certifications, you might not have safety licenses to carry out safety work, but the fact that you are a facility manager automatically make you a safety manager of that building. So you have assigned a duty to one of your technicians and he's used to doing the job, is an electrical technician, and now he encountered an accident by touching a live electrical wire. What do you think could have prevented this kind of incident? Can somebody just mention something related? Let me see if we even have an idea of what safety responsibility we are to take in our facilities, since we are automatically safety managers of the facility. Can somebody just give a brief answer? How could you have prevented this? I'm saying that we have 27 participants. Let me see. Let me mention somebody's name. Mr. Ayeni, how could you have prevented?
Hello, I'm on transit, please. That's what
Oh, no problem. Can somebody else assist Mr. Ayeni? Somebody else that can talk wherever he or she is. Please, let's be brief.
Okay, maybe I should just talk. My name is Sunday Ogwade.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Sunday.
Okay, I think first we need to ascertain that Mr. Smith, the electrician, is trained to be safety conscious. One, and then secondly, the one that Smith is reporting to, maybe the facility manager, it is always good to double check and be sure that all safety precautions are considered before, maybe after the repair is done, to ensure that there is no loophole, so that maybe in the process of Smith trying to do something, he may have overlooked a particular, just like in this case, there is an exposed wire. But if there is another person that is overseeing what Smith is doing, he will be able to see it before that is powered on. So that's just my contribution.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sunday. Thank you. Yes, you have rightly answered my question. Something could have prevented it. If there is a standard work procedure that has been laid down, this kind of job that is being done, is there a procedure for it? Has the procedure been followed? Take, for example, you want to do an electrical job. What is the process for doing that job? Have you done your risk assessment? Have you checked, inspected the vicinity or the environment where you want to work to be able to know that the environment is safe for you to carry out the work? Have you gotten all the necessary equipment you need for that kind of job? Have you gotten your PPEs? Are you taking, would you need a ladder? So that means that you need a work at height procedures. So these things, that's where what made me to mention earlier that regular safety inspection is our responsibility. It is highly important. Don't just say because a worker has been used to this kind of operations, you don't supervise them. You don't follow the due process of seeing that their SOPs are well followed. And these days, to my greatest understanding, people don't even have SOPs for different kind of job they do. They just believe that it's a routine process. It's the thing that we do every day. And funny enough, the things we do every day, they are the ones that have a lot of hazard embedded in it, which because we have been doing it every day, we have turned it to something usual. So we have been acquainted to those hazards and we no longer see them as hazards again. We just count them like it's norm. So if the inspection has been rightly done and all processes have been duly followed, the manager would have seen that the sites or the location that Smith is going, there is an exposed cable there. Even Smith, if he knows the due process of his job, he will have been able to detect the exposed wire and put in corrective actions, control that kind of wire by insulating it or finding a way to trunk it or returning it back to the panel or something, he will have been able to control that before he starts the job that he was assigned to do. So I'll continue with the other question that, do you think there was a safe work procedure? Apparently from what I have said and from what Mr. Sunday has said, even if there is a safe work procedure, it was not followed. It was not followed. And maybe it was not communicated to this worker, which is Smith. The procedure might be there in paper, but if it is not well communicated and followed, then it's more or less like not having it at all. So we can actually say Smith is not trained, because if he is trained, he would have followed the due process and would have prevented such an incident from happening. So thank you for your response, Mr. Sunday. So this would take us to, can we all see my face? I want to off the camera for a while. I noticed it's covering the screen. Permission to do that.
We can see your face.
Yeah, please, you can go on, please.
Okay. All right. So safety measures to be taken when it comes to either commercial building or residential building. There are some things that we need to take. There are some precautions we need to put in place so that we'll prevent accident from happening in such a building. Conduct hazard assessments of the building. It is not just the work of, if we have facility management company that doesn't have safety professionals there. So like I mentioned before, the facility manager in such a building is responsible for the safety and well-being of the people that are in that building. So which means you are automatically the safety manager, officer, safety ambassador, or whichever rank we want to give you. You are the safety representative of such a building. So hazard assessment, you have to do an hazard assessment of the task that is to be carried. From my experience, I noticed that majority of we facility managers these days, we just bring in our vendors, tell them, give me quotes, and this is the job I want you to do. Then we don't follow up with them. We don't even put in procedures to be taken. They just feel that once they submit the quotes and the quote has been vetted and they have approved it, that is all. There are process. I think I have something in this slide that mentioned procedures for project management in facilities. So there are procedures of onboarding these vendors and making sure that we supervise them. Apart from the vendors, even on a daily basis, we need to assess the building, check their hazard. What you see or what you saw yesterday in the facility does not mean that is what you will see today when you get to the facility. This chemical is always put here, is a cleaning chemical, but one of your worker has gone there, used it, but put it in a wrong location. Somebody else, let's say it's not even well labeled, somebody else doesn't know, the person worked there and that is just normal water and carried it and want to use it to rinse their hand or wash their plates. You can see that what you left yesterday is not what is there today. So it is very important that you carry out hazard assessment of that building on a daily basis. Working around spotting hazard, there is what we call hazard spotting. You need to onboard your workers to be able to know what hazard are or what hazard is and how to spot them once they see them. We have hazard that relates to electrical work, hazard that include elevators, even your elevators. If you don't do regular inspection, the elevator you feel is working efficiently today, in the next few minutes might be affected by something. Let's say, for example, an electrical fault. Maybe because of a voltage surge or something, it might affect it. So you need to constantly assess your environment, constantly assess your facilities. Don't leave it to the people that are at work. If they don't see you take the role or lead by example, they will be nonchalant about it because their supervisor is also not taking responsibility of what he or she needs to do. So you need to lead by example, champion it. Make sure they said, there's a write-up I saw that he said, if you tell me, I may forget, right? But if you involve me, there is no way I will forget. I will get to understand that kind of process, and I will be able to do it even while you are not there. So involving your workers, involving your technicians, making them leaders in their specific space. They don't have to have a major manager role before they can be leaders in their own specific space. Where they are working, they can lead that place by taking responsibility. So you need to lead them, you need to guide them, you need to take this measure of hazard assessment, involve them, move around with them, do the inspection together, let them spot hazard. Let's say I'm doing an inspection now and there is a technician that followed me. I spot something that is like an electrical hazard. I can involve him. Tayo, I'm just giving a random name. Look at that thing. What do you think is wrong? If the person did not get it, you can say, what do you think might go wrong? Let's say this thing, this happened. What do you think might go wrong? From there, you will get to hear a lot of things from that kind of person. And if the person is not knowledgeable about what you are trying to pass across, you explain to them, oh, this is an exposed cable. If somebody go there with naked hand, this person can have an electric shock or an electrical burn. Please call this so person, come and trunk this cable, come and insulate this cable with a plaster or something. From there, when next that kind of technicians see that kind of thing, it would be able to even come and tell you that I saw this, but I've been able to put these measures in place. So we have other hazards that not just electrical, even cleaning. Cleaning alone can be hazardous. Wet floor can make people sleep. Chemicals that are being used can cause, people can inhale the chemical and suffocate. So you need to know proper handling, and they need to know the normal and due procedure to follow. So general maintenance also, you can spot hazard from there. Hot works, one of the things, especially for people that are handling residential apartment, they feel that there is no serious hazardous activities ongoing in that facility. And anytime they have little project at hand, they feel okay, the person should just go ahead. There is no minor or serious or big hot works. Hot work is hot work. Just carrying your welding machine and touching a particular sheet just to close a hole, or just to, what else can, majorly, let's say there is a leakage and you just want to bridge that leakage or you want to correct it. That alone is a hot work, and there is procedure that needs to be followed. If you are not careful, that kind of little minor job that you thought you are doing can lead to a major accident. Develop safe work procedure. Like I mentioned, you need to involve your workers. What is the task at hand? What can go wrong? So maybe I should just explain what a risk assessment is in a brief for a layman. Risk assessment is you spotting the hazard identification, like I've mentioned. That's the first stage in risk assessment. How can you identify hazard? Even without going there, you have a task at hand. Outline the task. I want to go and weld this thing. From carrying all the equipment that I need, from mobilization stage, what can go wrong? What this kind of equipment that I'm using, I need electrical source. What can go wrong? When I plug it and I start and I start welding, what could go wrong? What are the things that I need to put in place? From knowing what could go wrong, you will be able to know who can be affected by that kind of hazard. Then you put in controls in place. This kind of thing can lead to electrical fire. What do I need to play? Instead of me using those cables that doesn't have a plug, I will not allow this. Make sure that your cable have a plug. From there, you're able to bridge an electrical hazard that could have, an electrical incident that could have happened due to you adding or fixing the plug of that electrical or welding machine. What else again do I need to put in place? Okay, let's say there is a fire. I can't eliminate all the risk that is attached to this job. Let's say there is a fire. I need a standby fire extinguisher to be able to use to combat the fire if there is a fire incident. So from there, you'll be able to put all these measures in place, document them, and check that this process that I have done will lead to be able to control this hazard that I've identified. Then from there, you'll be able to say, okay, yes, to a reasonable amount or to a reasonable level, I can be able to control this hazards that I've been able to identify. Then implement safe work procedure. So the safe work procedure, you can do it with your workers because they are the one doing that job. They know the process. They will outline the procedure. What could go wrong? You've been able to do that. Then communicate this procedure to them, because some of our workers are not really well learned. So sometimes you have to come down to their level to spit it out, break it down from level to level, like you are teaching a small girl how to read ABC. You have to outline this procedure to them. This kind of job, you want to wash a tank, this is the process. Make sure that you don't do this unless you get an approval from here. And once you get this approval, make sure that you don't use this ladder for this kind of job. So if these procedures are well documented and communicated, the next time that kind of worker wants to do the job, because he was or is already forewarned, he will be able to follow the procedure. Then ensure that you train your workers, right? They are in the field, they know the job, but there are some little things that you need to train them on how to do the job safely. You have to be intentional about it. They know the job, but they might not know how to do it safely. So workers training is important. A new worker coming to a site, you don't just leave them to start handling things on their own. They need to understudy whoever it is that has been doing the job before, or if it is going to be a 2-week succession plan or 3 weeks or 1 month, that needs to be done. You just take a trained worker that you just feel that a new worker rather, that you feel is knowledgeable about the work, and you just take the person there, oh yeah, go and start. The person can be a disaster to that kind of facility because the person is not used to that environment. The person is used to the job, but not that particular environment. The person is coming from a different environment entirely. So you need to be intentional about training the workers and ensuring compliance. Ensuring compliance does not mean that you put procedure in place, communicate to them, and you just keep quiet and be looking at them. Supervision and making sure that there is sanction for non-compliance. Also, not just sanction, make sure that there is a reward for good work. So when it comes to compliance, you have to do both end, reward and what sanctions. That is when you say that you are actually following the compliance procedure. So for you to say you have a procedure and you are not supervising, you are not making them take responsibility when there is an issue, it means that they can just do anything they want because nobody is going to hold them accountable. So building owners, facility manager, maintainers, supervisors, and workers should be familiar with good should have a good understanding of workplace safety and health requirements. There are different regulations. Majority of the health and safety regulations we use are internationally specified one, the ILOs, we have the OSHA, but here in Nigeria, I think we have building codes that also highlight some things about the safety of a building. So those kind of regulations too, we need to visit them, know what is required, this kind of building, what is the specifications. And there is one thing I also want to bring into, I also want to mention is concerning facility managers. We don't just have to onboard any facility, all because we want to take a facility on and make sure that we for profit making or just for us to have jobs. There are some facilities that you have to set your own standard. For our company, this is the standard things that need to be in your facility for us to be able to run the facility for you. You don't just take some facilities are, how can I call it? They are accidents lying in waiting. There are so much hazard embedded in such a facility that even a layman that doesn't understand anything about facility management or safety can spot it that no, this place is a fire zone. No, this place is an accident zone. But we still onboard such a facility and we continue to help them patch until a major accident happen and we have to now take responsibility on their behalf. This could have been averted if we have been able to set our standard and let them know things that need to be corrected before we start to help you manage your facility. So I'm going to be brief with this one concerning managing projects in a facility. There is what we call safe work procedure. Here we majorly call it method statements. I remember there was a time where there was a project that needs to take place and the vendor was onboarded and the vendor was referred to me. So I told the vendor, this and this are what you need to put in place. First, I need the method statement of the job you want to carry out. I need the competency certificate of the workers that you are bringing. I need the insurance that you've done for them. I need their health certificate to know that they are fit for this job and the likes. And the man was like, God, where am I going to start from? I said, okay, you start from there. I sent the template of method statement to the person. Follow this procedure. Then anything that you see that I can help you with, tell me, I will help you with it. It is very simple. It's because of the environment we find ourselves. In Africa, in Nigeria, safety is still something that we are struggling with. We are struggling with it. So a lot of people, they just do fire brigade approach with everything. They don't want to follow the procedure. But if you have a standard, they have to conform to it because they want to work with you. So set up the standard. Don't just start a project without putting a process in place. Pre-project meeting, during the project also, supervision, and even when they are done commissioning that project, you need to still have a meeting with them. So there are procedures to be followed. So for here, the method statement is what is referred to safe work procedure here. So there is a template for safe work procedure. What does a safe work procedure entails? It contains the job that needs to be done, the risk that is embedded in such a job, the people that are going to be involved in the job, the management approval, and the likes. And from there, when you are trying to do these documents, you'll be able to know that these people that want to do the job, are they trained or not? It is from there you establish all these points. So like I have the safe work procedure format that I stated here. It contains the description of the work, the company or the department that the job is, that is handling the job, management approval, the date that you created it, that's the date that you created that job safe work procedure. Then the day of revision, you might need to review it if it is not projects that is just 1 week or 2 weeks. Some project might last for 3 months. You need time to review at what stage. So from the onboarding stage, you have to break down the job and you need to put a review timeline also to the job. The necessary PPEs, you go to some buildings because they feel it's a residential building. The vendor just go there looking tattered and moving around barefooted, not putting on the proper clothes. Some even wear singlets and short and be moving around the facility. It is not the vendor that you brought in might literally not have something to lose, but it is going to, one way or the other, affect the reputation of your own company because you are the one handling such a project. They will not see the worker that you have carried from maybe Baba Sikira, from one roadside welder. They will not see that person. They will say, no, this is the company that is handling this project for us. So you have to put these procedures in place and communicate it with them so that they can represent you well. Okay, basic step is securing. So we have, for safety of buildings, it's not just safety. We have the security part is also there. The health part is also there. So in securing a building, there are things that need to put in place. And if you notice from what I've been saying, from beginning to the end, I keep mentioning risk assessment because in safety, risk assessment is the bedrock of every activity that you want to do safely. It is the bedrock because you can't say you just want to start a job and you dabble into it. If you don't do the risk assessment and something go wrong, that risk assessment that you don't do, you will do the investigation, then you now go back to that risk assessment. So every now and then, assessing the risk in a facility or in the project that needs to be done, including the security aspect, is highly important. So risk assessment should be our everyday activity, something that we don't joke with. Conduct regular risk assessment. So there are some areas that you need to look at when it comes to securing a commercial building. The access points, how do people come in? How do they go out? Depending on the kind of job that is happening in that kind of commercial building, if it is a highly hazardous place, you need to check out people go in, people come out. A company, let's say where they load dots, you have to check how do they do that. You need to check the windows where there can be breach or security breach. You need to check the existing security system there. Then you need to know the past incident. There are some things we need to know when we are, especially when we are onboarding new sites. There is a facility I went with some of my team one time. Immediately I entered the water treatment plant and I look at the wall. I said there has been a fire incident in this place before. And I think the person that was with me was like, maybe over the time that place just went dark or it just looked like that. But when we started engaging the technician that was taking us around, I was able to establish it with the person that I was talking to, that I told you that there has been a fire incident in this place before. So the guy explained that yes, there was a major fire incident sometime a year and some months ago. So these things, if you don't check, you need to check the past history of that kind of building. What is the incident that has happened before? What caused it? Even the security breaches, are there been a theft or burglar incident before? How did it happen? What are the measures that was put in place to control it? How can we prevent it from further occurring? So these are the things we need to put in place. Frequent Inspection of property allow you to identify lapses and strategic target resources. Regular audits, sometimes you might need to bring in security consultants to come and help you check some blind spots that you might not be able to spot, but they can be able to spot. You need to onboard consultants to be able to help you with that. That's why in facility management these days, majority of the services that we handle, people contract it, the company contract it out because they feel that there are people that can handle it better. I know in Nigeria, majorly we do it to transfer risk, but one way or the other, we are still doing the right thing, either transferring the risk, but we are still onboarding the consultants or people that are specialized in that kind of area to handle it. So other things that you need to put in place to secure is a building also is surveillance. Make sure that you utilize modern surveillance. You go to a big building, there is no CCTV. That's how they will now come and report that there is oil theft or there is a theft. There is no way you can trace it because there is no surveillance of the building. So in the modern world that we are, things are getting easier and easier by day. So we have to utilize modern surveillance and all these technologies and gadgets to be able to make our work easier. Access control also. People don't just come in and go out of the building. How are you able to control? Even the people that are workers there, there have to be some control measures. They don't just go in and come out. We have had incidents where the workers of that particular site are the ones stealing things. How are you going to be able to check that if there is no access control that you implement for even your workers, not just the outsiders or the residents? You have to put in control measures also for your maintenance team. Prepare emergency action plan. Majority of the time, people say that we have emergency action or emergency plan. But if you check and check, you end up knowing that there is no emergency plan in such a building. What is emergency plan? Emergency plan is a step-by-step procedure that you have put in place that in an event of an emergency, depending on what kind of emergency that is prone to that kind of facility. Majorly, we know that fire emergency is one of the incidents that happens or that affects every building, or either commercial or residential. Other things could be burglar, it could be medical cases, depending on that kind of facility, the occupant, the activity that is ongoing there. You have to have a plan, step-by-step procedure. If this thing happens, what should be done? Who is the incident controller? Who is doing who? And it has to be communicated to everyone on site. There was a time, I think I did an emergency plan, and I said every FM, you use the template, but you have to do your own for your site because you are the one that understands the environment. You can't just carry a document that is for building A and you say you want to use it for building B. No, it's different because there is the difference in that kind of building. If this unit A or building A has its exit and entry doors around this side, it might not, even if it is an identical building, there will still be some little disparity, some little changes. So you have to follow the due procedure. You can also onboard professionals, safety professionals who can handle this, where you can do an evacuation plan, where all the buildings, all the rooms, the location in that kind of building is put in a plan, like is more or less like a drawing, an architectural drawing, but quite simpler and easy to communicate. You might need to draft that kind of evacuation plan also and post it where people can easily see it and understand it. So emergency procedures have to be put in place. So you can adopt other physical protective measures like getting security doors, making sure that there are barricades. We have events these days that there are no barricade around the swimming pool, children just go there and then get drowned. So there are some things we need to put in place. Signages are also very important, either residential or commercial, putting safety signages to communicate safety procedures to people that are occupying that building is also one of the things that you need to put in place. One important thing I also like to communicate also is, I hope I've not exhausted my time.
You have been trying. You have about 5 minutes.
Okay, so the other things are not okay, we can have a part 2 actually. We can have a part 2 because if you allow me to keep talking, I can still talk till evening. So one thing I would also want us to take home from here is collaboration with law enforcement agencies is very important. I've had occasions where people don't even like seeing them in their facility. Let's say, for example, fire service people are coming, or which other ones majorly come around? I think the NSITF, the can you give me an example? I know they used to come around, all these agencies, they come around. We are supposed to relate with them. Every facility manager is supposed to have a number of a police station that is close to them, because they are your first line of contact if there is an emergency. If you have built a relationship with them over the time, you can easily communicate with them and onboard them or bring them in when there is an event of an emergency. But if you say you want to go through the long route of using the 767 for Lagos or using 112 National Emergency Distress call number, before they will answer you, start transferring you to the state and location, it might take time. But if you have an existing rapport with some of these people, you can easily bring them in when there is a need for it. It might not even be an emergency. It might be maybe some people come, they want to do an inspection and they ask you to get this. But because you already have a rapport, you already have a relationship with the agency involved, you can easily get whatever it is they ask you to put in place. So networking, collaborating with all these enforcement agencies cannot be overemphasized. Every facility manager should have contact of all these people. Even the emergency points, you should know the nearest emergency point to you. God forbid an emergency happen in your facility. Where is an ambulance going to come from at the spot? You need to be able to put all these things in place. Then you need to stay updated with the safety technologies. I think I've mentioned that before. I actually wanted to go into fire safety, but I think maybe one day, moderator, you can call me in for fire safety. That's a very comprehensive training on its own. So we can also have this slide. It's a very short slide. So all the things I've mentioned earlier are still things that we will replicate when it comes to residential building, putting measures in place by putting the emergency processes in place, know the emergency number, install good lighting. Good lighting is very important. We have buildings that you go there in the night, everywhere is dark. You are communicating to the robbers that no, this is a safe place for you to come and do your job. If you want to steal or burglars, you are communicating to them. But keeping an environment well lit, can even scare the burglars away, or anybody that have that kind of thing in mind would not want to come out near that kind of building because it's well lit. So we have to put that in place also. I would have liked to take my time to explain all these things that I've written, but when you invite me next time, I'll be able to do justice to other things I've not been able to talk or touch. So thank you very much for having me. It's nice speaking with every one of us. You have the floor.
Thank you
Is it
very much,
moderator
ma'am.
there?
It's
Okay. Nice.
okay. Thank you very much, ma. I think at this point we are grateful for your inputs and knowledge you've been able to share with us. Without wasting much of our time, we've encouraged our members to drop questions on the chat box, but we've not seen any questions so far. So I just want to use the opportunity to ask openly for any member who have any questions so far should signify so that our facilitator can quickly answer our questions. Okay, so we are still waiting. If there is no question for now, there are no questions for now. I would like to invite our Director of Membership and Public and Professional Development, the person of Mr. Ife Oluwadayo, if he's able to speak on the call. Okay, I'm not sure he's able to speak at this point. So I want to give the floor back to our president, Mr. Paul.
Moderator.
Yes, you can speak, Mr. Oluwafemi. Yes, you can speak, sir.
Yes, I'm not sure if the president is on the call. So I want to appreciate our trainer, our speaker, for taking time out of our busy schedule for lectures, safety practices in our commercial building. As an association, we need to appreciate her. Sure, Mr. Ife is on the call, he will speak more quickly. Especially and that sooner, but very, very soon, I will call up for the session because we'll be happy to share the fire safety because the period which we are now about to fire safety conscious. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Registrar.
Okay, someone signified, Mr. Busayo Akindele, can you quickly ask your question?
Yeah, good afternoon. Sorry, I've actually been driving, so I could not really type.
Okay, that's fine.
So my question is this. So there are some facilities we manage, and when we are trying to take over a facility, especially when it's a new one, there are some things you tell maybe the landlord to put in place or the developers. So in situations where the developer is not putting those things, for example, let me say fire extinguishers, because they say we are going to need fire extinguishers in this particular place. They are not putting it there. The service charge does not cover purchase of new extinguishers and stuff like that. What can a facility manager do in that situation? Do we just leave it? It's very risky to leave a facility like that without any fire appliances or apparatus. So what would you advise in cases like that? Do we force the hand of the developer to say you have to do this, or do we try and do that with our own funds and say, oh, we have to find a way to get it back from the residents? What would you advise in cases like that? Thank you.
Okay, can I go ahead? Okay,
yes,
thank you very much for this question. Somebody is saying something. Okay, thank you very much for this question. I've had incident like this where you ask the resident, the homeowner to put some controls in place, they would not. One thing I want us to know as facility managers, safety managers, is that please, the person mute.
You can type no virtual except you are not in Lagos, right? So that way,
I will do that now. Just
really make it.
Okay, so one thing I want us to know is documentation is highly important. When you did your inspection, you have noticed that this is a gap. There is no fire extinguisher, and it is highly important that there is a fire extinguisher. Outline all these points, give them if it's possible, write an official letter, send it to them. After like a week or 2 weeks, do a reminder. You know the reason why it is important? At the long run, over the time, God forbid, it might not be when you are there. It might be maybe somebody else that is managing.
Okay. Madam Titi. Yeah.
Yes.
Are you still speaking? I couldn't hear you.
Yes, I'm talking. Oh, hey.
Okay, it's my network. Sorry. Continue, ma.
Okay. All right. So I said documentation is very and highly important when it comes to this kind of question or scenario that you have asked. You need to communicate with them, and the trend of, don't just say because you have communicated this quarter. Like I have a client that always ask me, but you saw this, you spotted this last quarter, and you are bringing it on. I said, I will keep communicating it until you implement it. Because one thing I noticed based on the little experience I've had in facility management is once you spot something, you put them on their toes to do it. They will let you know that they want to do it, but over the time, due to the cost or something, they will leave it one side and not visit it again. When there is an incident that needs to do with that kind of thing, that is when you know they will throw you under the bus. So you need to keep that communication channel open as regard that matter. Until one day they will just be tired. This person has been disturbing us with this thing. Let's do it so that we can rest. So please, communication is highly important. Start with documentation and make sure that you continue the communication. Thank you. I hope I'm able to answer your question.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, answered. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, and yes, Madam Titila would like to have you again. So we look forward to having you take the part 2 of this topic with us. At this point, I want to acknowledge the presence again of some of our National Executive Council members. The president is on the call, Mr. Paul Erubami. The Deputy President, Dr. Olumide Aina, is also on the call. Finance Director, she's also on the call, Hajia Zainab. Our VP, Northern Region, is also on the call, Mr. Oluwafemi. And our Director for Membership and Professional Development, Mr. Ifeoluwadai, is also on the call. And for every of our members that are able to make it today with us, we say thank you to you for making it this far. Please, I want to encourage at this point that the attendance link is very important. Please try to fill it up because The association is taking records of all the points that every member is able to make for attending of our events and trainings and sections. So I want to thank everyone again for coming. Again, let me check if our president is able to speak. Hello, Mr. Posa, are you able to speak? Dr. Olumide, are you also able to speak?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for the well-rounded training. Thank you very much, madam. Just wanted to add to what she advised in terms of documentation, follow-up, reminders. It's not new to us, especially when developers are handing over a particular project to FM. Structural engineers or project managers, architects, they are in a hurry to leave. They don't even wait for their 6 month deferred liability period, just want to leave and cash out, move on, sell the unit, and you're on your own, whichever issues you face. And that's why we're clamoring for us to be part of the whole process from conceptualization to handover to even end of life of the project. But in case that doesn't happen, first, you document. Two, I don't know how you structure your budget, but they usually have budget to take care of going concerns in terms of common area services, requests, stuff like that. For me, sending reminders to a very germane and fundamental tool or equipment in your building is no excuse. Whenever the D-Day comes and there's a fire incident, you say, God forbid, this day may happen at any point in time. You will be the first person that will be held responsible as a facility manager, because they will ask you, they will tell you that you have service charge between for common area. What will cost you? What will be the cost of buying 6 kg or 9 kg DCP or CO2 and put it in the common area, and buying a 25 kg or 50 kg for the generator house, specifically for the generator house? What will be the cost compared to the loss of life, loss of property, and even the effect is going to happen, the effect is going to have on your goodwill, on your reputation. So you need wisdom. You need to be able to engage such that you'll be able to be empowered to take that decision. And if that happens, it's just give or take. For me, if it were to be me, I'll take the risk to buy the fire extinguisher. And I will not even wait for any approval. I'll buy the fire extinguisher. It's 50-50. If they say, who approved it for you? How much is it? You look at the risk. How much is the fire extinguisher? 1 naira compared to high-end risk that may make me lose my name, my reputation. I don't care. I'll buy it. Now, it's for the record. I'll keep the fire extinguisher there. I'll have peace of mind. So it's very important that when you want to take decision, you look at it from the 360 degrees, not from cost alone, not from just your reputation alone, but from a 360-degree view, engage stakeholders, document your reputation, cost, everything, the look and feel of your facilities. Those are the key areas that you have to consider before you take a decision. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Once again, thank you everyone for joining. I wish you happy Easter. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you, our facilitator. Thank you, ma.